Watch him throw the ball, we gon' pick it off. You gon' let him hit the hole or you gon' cut it off. You gon' play through fourth and long or you gon' punt it off. Your defenders, heavy hitters, put your pads in. Don't be looking for the ref to throw no flags in. Keep the helmet on, keep the cleats tight. You the type to want to win by any means, right? You should look alive. This is Trap or Dive.
Yes, sir. Welcome back to another episode of the Trap or Dive podcast. I'm your host of the Trap or Dive podcast, Mual, and this is the post-game recap, man. AJ is in here. Dre is in here as well. Administrative items, of course, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button on the YouTube side, man. Definitely appreciate that. Audio, same thing, man. Follow, hit that follow button, man. Hit the button. You know what time it is. Rate and review if you can. It takes 10 seconds to do so. And it's free to show you support that way. 34-27. Washington falls to 2-2 in Atlanta. And as I was telling you, Dre, before we actually hit live, this was one of those games where it's like it just felt like it. And shout out to Kevin, because this is who said it, but it felt like that. It just felt like death by 1,000 paper cuts, specifically defensively. It felt like you just knew you weren't getting a stop. The one stop you did get, it was Penix trying to layer a pass to his receiver and just ends up being a gifted interception to Mike Sanders too. And of course, you only get 3 points out of that. It was a terrible day defensively. I think they racked up over 430 yards. I'm about to double. Yeah, 435 yards, nearly 7 yards of play. Penix went for 300 on 20 completions. He really had 300 on 19 completions at one point. So the last one was just I think that was the Drake London pre-snap motion special that's starting to take place with this defensive secondary that we clearly have no answer to 4 games into the season. I'm gonna stop my soliloquies and show intro. I'll give y'all the floor. AJ, what's up? Dre, what's up? Your instant takeaways before we dive into some things, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, it was a pretty tough game to watch from a defensive standpoint. I feel like Joe Witt Jr. called about everything, and no matter what, they didn't have an answer. We've been looking for them to get a turnover for the first time in the first 3 games. They got one today. Weren't able to capitalize on that offensively. Going into this matchup, your key person to stop was Bijan Robinson, but as CBS would call him, But Bajan Robinson, like they was blowing me. They was calling him all different type of names all game. But
uh,
I mean,
but John,
yeah, bro. Like he almost had 200 all-purpose yards.
yep.
Like he was a threat in the receiving game, which is obvious because if you're putting Bobby Wagner and even some of these safeties in position to have to defend him, they're not going to win that matchup. I know a lot of people love Jeremy Reeves, but he's not a starting safety, bro. Then the other guy back there is not a good safety. Your secondary is getting abused no matter who.
I was about to say, yeah,
Marshawn,
put Quan out
Mike,
there, Mike.
Mikey, huh?
No, I was about to say, yeah, let's go ahead and put it out there, bro. I'm going to acknowledge, not that it wasn't evident, but I'll go ahead and acknowledge it that that Quan he was getting it was Quan had his turn. Everybody had their turn, bro, and it's just so unfortunate. Continue.
Yeah, I mean everybody got their turn for sure, but it's just been very consistent with certain guys. Like Quan Martin is one of those dudes where even in pass coverage, he's not making a play, and it's interesting because coming out of Illinois, he was known for his versatility and playing nickel corner where you play in space, and it's like no matter who that player is, he's always giving them a hug. Like he's never making a play within like the proper position is always something. Then even like tackling, like that one touchdown, um, like I think Jeremy Reeves went to punch out the ball, but Quan made no real attempt on the tackle. Like made no attempt. And I mean, it's gonna sound like I'm nitpicking on him, but it's just like I'm very frustrated with his play. Like I've told you guys, I think I probably said it privately, and I don't know if I said it publicly, but I feel like whenever Dan Quinn and this coaching staff hype up a player, it's because they know that person does not have enough confidence in themselves, and it keeps showing up. Like this goes back to even last year. I think a lot of people bypass it due to the
And
pick six against Detroit, but I have not been a fan of Quan Martin at all ever. But just overall, the defense, no one is winning their matchups. Like your front, no one is winning those matchups one on one. Atlanta played a lot of pistol, which they've been doing all season. For a team to go 0 for last week against the Panthers, like scored no points to put up 30 plus on you is insane, bro. Like it is insane. And what's very troubling is how do you improve? You can improve because people are calling for Joe Witt Jr.'s job, but all he's doing is running Dan Quinn's defense. And Dan Quinn still has some input in that as well. So it's like you could fire the DC, but it's still the personnel that is on the field, and you don't have any stalwarts on defense to count on. This is not Dallas Cowboys with a Micah Parsons on there. You feel me? Like it looks way different when you have a dynamic player, and that's where it's like even I think just being too cautious. I feel like Jaden Daniels should have played this game. Like if you're gonna put him in practice for Wednesday and Thursday, like why is he not practicing Friday? Why is he not playing? Like the game Thursday where he got hurt against the Packers, he had additional days off. It's like sometimes playing it a bit too coy with like trying to protect players. And it's like, what is one more week gonna do, bro? Like it's not gonna change anything. And you don't have the type of roster to go out there and say that we can beat these guys handily without our star player. And your star player is your quarterback. He makes everything go. Even from a defensive standpoint, yes, he's not on the field defensively, but if they can put up points, they can put themselves in different positions as far as having to defend the team. It just sucks overall. It was a bad game defensively. Offensively, there was definitely some struggles. Play calling wise, I think Cliff didn't stick with the run uh long enough. I also don't like the way he started off the game. First play of the game was a jet sweep to Debo. And then the rest of that possession was passing plays. You kept putting yourself in like second and long, not even third and long, but like second and long, first and long. At one point, it was first and 30. You feel me? Like what can you really do with that? Yeah, it was just a tough game to watch, man. And I'm just looking forward to Jaden coming back. But if this is the precursor of what we're going to be getting for the rest of the year from a defensive standpoint, and the real objective is to beat Philadelphia, God bless.
One thing before you go, bro, I just want to make sure it's out there. I ain't gonna talk too long. Shout out to Armani for pointing this out to me. Marshawn Lattimore through 4 games, 20 targets against 11 catches allowed, 173 yards allowed, 9 first downs allowed, 6 penalties, 3 15-plus yard completions from Marshawn. So on on the last drive, we talk about like this being a copycat league. The pre-snap motions killed these guys throughout the game, and it wasn't just Marshawn, but I'm about to cook with this word. I forgot the word. God damn it. But the effort or the highlight of the day being that third down conversion to really just put them in field goal range on that gotta have a defensive drive comes on Lattimore's side with the motion. But go ahead, Trey. I just want to put that in the atmosphere.
Yeah, I mean, it was a deflating game. I mean, because you go into this game, you're worried about what you don't have on the offensive side of the football and who's out. And most of those guys are on the offensive side of the football, only for the defense to not give you a chance in this game. And we could sit up here and we could talk about the players all day. I mean, sure, Marshawn Lattimore looks like a mark. Quan Martin hasn't played good all season. Mikey's had his struggles. I mean, he did have an interception today, but I didn't think he also played his best game again today. But you got to ask, where does this start? Like, why are we questioning everybody in the secondary? Like, I mean, is everybody in the secondary really that bad? Or can we start questioning the top? Like, I mean, I know some people don't want to go there yet. Like, oh, well, the players are so bad. They're so bad. But there's talent there. Like before this season, we thought the cornerback room was the strongest position group on the team, arguably. Bobby Wagner, yeah, he's a liability in coverage, but he still could play the run pretty damn well. But why are we putting him in situations where he's always in coverage on certain players where he's not going to win these matchups? Like I've seen a one-on-one with B. John Robinson a couple of times today, and he had no chance. So you got to wonder, when is it okay to question the coaching, whether it's Dan Quinn, whether it's Joe Witt, whoever you want to kind of start pointing that finger at, but they're not getting the most out of these players. Like we can sit up here and talk about the talent and, what they don't have, but what they have right now, they're not getting the most of. They're not getting the best out of this group. And it's a constant theme. Like we're still seeing busted coverages. We're still seeing these explosive plays over and over. Joe Witt mentioned on Thursday, we got to cut down the explosives. We've seen too many explosives today. I mean, the bottom line is they just didn't give you a chance today. Like we could sit up here and talk about Jaden Daniels, who, I mean, I had people before the game telling me that, maybe they don't think the Falcons are a threat, and that's why I don't buy that at all. I didn't buy it then, and I definitely don't buy it now. I think if they felt good enough about Jaden to play today, then he plays today. But I do think they felt like he needed one more week of rest. And at the end of the day, it's not. Jaden would have had to play the perfect game if he played today. Like he would have had to go out there with the way that defense performed against the Falcons. They had no answers for Bijan. They had no answers for Michael Penix. Jaden Daniels would have had to play the perfect game today. Now, it's possible he could have went out there and did it, but again, I just didn't think this defense did not give you a legitimate chance to win you this game today. Like anytime they needed a big or a crucial stop, they were nowhere to be found. Like it didn't happen.
That last drive, bro, was like that, and that's why I pointed out the pre-snap motion thing. But like that entire last drive, everything came easy in a spot where Washington needed to have a stop. And I think for everybody that looks at the problems with this team, it was always like the defense is teetering. Like it's like, are they? I mean, we know that they're good up front, but are they like actually a good defense, or are they like really not good at all? Like, what's up with these explosive plays? And it's like if they can get the communication down, like I think they'll be all right. But no, like you go up against a team, and Michael Penix, bro, who was struggling since he took over as starter, didn't really have that many like breakout games. This was his breakout game. And I think I think it's unfortunate for Washington. And I haven't even. I want to let you finish, Dre, but I think it's several different issues. Like Bijan, some of his catches, bro, uncontested. Like line up in trips, people. Like I saw Bobby like staring at him in a zone. Not saying that was Bobby's assignment, right? Because he was the hook defender, and I don't know what their rule was on that coverage. But Bijan is lined up in trips, and he just runs a curl route like a sneaky curl route, bro, and gets lost. And like Bobby's just staring at this dude, and there's the nearest defender is Bobby, who is like 10 yards away near the hash, uncontested. And then the wheel route, he gets picked. And once Bijan has like a step on Bobby, like Bobby ain't gonna catch him. So like I don't know, man. When you look at certain players, I think there's few people that you got to key on, bro. And that's on every team that you go up against. Like next week is going to be Keenan Allen. It's going to be Lad McConkey offensively, right? And like when you go up against certain people, it's Drake London for Atlanta. It's Bijan Robinson. You have to account for these guys 100% of the time. It can't be any lapses on a given play where it's like, I forgot where they was, bro. They had that so many times this week, bro.
I think we also got to start blaming Adam Peters for how he constructed this roster too, bro. Like, I mean, the personnel is the real issue on this defense. Like, if you're gonna commit to playing press man corner, those guys also need to be able to be versatile in some component and be able to run. But offenses know that if we get Amos, Mikey, or Marshawn in motion, we automatically win because they don't have the speed to catch up. Like, they don't have the speed to catch up, especially if you playing man. And we also know you don't have a safety that's going to come down and or play over the top well enough. So it's like we can take advantage of that. And I just think that the personnel of the team, how it's constructed, it just doesn't work right now. And, you know, Bobby is going to be Bobby. He's going to keep getting put in the blender by teams that have running backs that can be a pass-catching threat. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, I saw Doc Walker online talking, where's the help? I was like, he's like, but where is the help for Bobby on these plays where he was getting exposed? I'm like, bruh, in my head, I'm like, bruh, they keep him on the field 100% of the time. They don't want him to take any snaps off. Like, you can't hide Bobby if he's on the field. He got to check somebody. Who the hell you thought he was going to check this week, bruh?
Yeah, and even in zone, that's just never necessarily been like his strong suit. So you put him in man, he either on the tight end or you're on the running back. And when you're going against a guy like a Bijan who can definitely run routes similar to a wide receiver, you're going to get cooked. So, I mean, teams are going to continue to put them in this like pick or choose your poison. Packers did it. And I already felt like they were susceptible to it anyways. It's just that Packers really attacked that a lot of the game. Atlanta did it out of their pistol. Like, I mean, Atlanta played pistol most of the game, bro. Like, it was
where's the player accountability? Like, I mean, as far as, okay, if the players suck so much, why can't we make substitutions and see if something else works? Why is Bobby playing 100% of the snaps? The defensive coordinator does have the autonomy to make a sub to someone else if he feels like something else works. Marshawn Lattimore, he can sub Marshawn out. Maybe the backup sucks. Maybe he does, but we don't know. We don't know. If you keep telling me these players suck, but we can't do anything about it, but watch them suck, then what else? I mean, there has to be something else to do.
You just swapping ass for ass.
Do we know that though? We haven't seen these guys ass, but we only seen one person be ass, or 2 or 3 people that's ass. That's all we're watching.
Look, I
don't know. I couldn't feel comfortable moving Bobby Wagner off the field.
Then we can continue to talk about him sucking.
I know he's lining guys up, right? And I know what he brings to the table. I'm gonna move him off the field to let Jordan McGee do that.
But look, no, here's the thing. So I'm 100% in fact. First of all, I like that fire from Dre, man. I don't really see that fire too much from Dre, bro. I don't know where it's at, bro. You need to bring that out a little bit more often, bro. Pause. But look though, I'm with you, but I think that the element in itself is risky because are you gonna it's always politics. That's what always gets in my head when you think about things like that. They're not going like it will make sense to start experimenting, right? Like, especially if people just aren't getting the job done. But if you're also just losing straight off the strength of like skill versus actually like understanding mentally what you're supposed to do, that's one thing. But I also think about like part of our conversation in the offseason, right? It was actually the conversation we had with Jay Gruden. I had said, like, who is going to be like that middle linebacker that, like, I understand the need for Bobby, but if you need more athleticism, more speed, like, there has to be some sort of balance in terms of what you want out there versus what you need. And you need Bobby, right? But you also would want somebody to step up in the element of like, I am capable of doing something. It may not be to the top tier of Bobby, right? But I'm capable of doing something around this a little bit lower than what Bobby's capable of doing. But I'm also faster. I'm also more explosive. I'm more athletic in turn, or rangy is the word. Like, I'm more rangy in coverage as a linebacker. Like, I'm just saying these things. Like, who is that guy for Washington? Who knows? But I also think like it's an important conversation because if Bobby isn't capable of being like a presence in the passing game or pass defense, then like it's only week 4. Got 13 more weeks of this. All right. I guess it's a good time to go ahead and get into Underdog right quick, and we can talk about them boys on the offensive side of the ball, man, for a little bit. Where are we at? Okay. All right. Let me tell y'all about these people at Underdog Fantasy. Football season is in full swing. Underdog is the best place to get action. Get in on all the action. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower, such on stats such like rushing yards, receptions, touchdowns, and more. For whatever reason, I did not put this out there. Oh, you know what? Because it was late last night. But if you've been following me, you know darn well I've been a little bit out of luck so far. But we did get a winner in the Commanders-Falcons game. I had Drake London higher on 61.5 receiving yards. Jalen Lane higher on 1.5 receptions. Kyle Pitts higher on 3.5 receptions. And Deebo Samuel higher on 63.5 rushing and receiving yards. I did send the one, the Drake London one. I sent that to Dre and AJ. I told him he was finna smash that. That was easy. That was easy for Drake London. I ain't worried about that. I thought he was gonna go for 200, but in a loss, just so happens that they didn't lose, and he still smoked us. That's what I had today at the 1 o'clock slate. But we do have another game lined up. It is the Sunday night game. I have Micah Parsons higher on his sack total. It is 0.5 sacks. I'm going higher. Josh Jacobs on his rushing receiving touchdowns. I'm going higher. George Pickens higher on 61.5 receiving yards. And I'm going higher on Tucker Kraft, 3.5 receptions. It is a 4-pick play for the Sunday night football game. Download the app today. Sign up with promo code TRAPPERDIAL to score $100 in bonus funds or entries when you play your first $5. Underdog. Make picks. Win money.
19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369.
Offensively, I don't sometimes. All right, so let me refresh. Let me reset. Cliff Kingsbury. I think it was an interesting day, right? And I bring him up first, mainly because AJ had mentioned the first play of the game to Deebo Samuel. And when you're already trailing in that position, I feel like one of the main things that Washington had in their toolbox was Deebo Samuel, right? And I think one of the more predictable things that you could do in that instance, knowing that Terry McLaurin is out of the game, right? You use your move piece in Deebo behind the quarterback, and like you're gonna have all eyes on Deebo. So I did think that was an instance where you I don't know if you go there like off rip, you're already in negative field, negative down and distance. Throughout the day, I think the biggest thing that hurt Washington was the fact that these penalties, it just became a barrage. It was a time where you're in 1st and 30, and on that drive, like it's 3 penalties on that drive coming out of the half, right? You overcome so wow. You overcome a offensive holding from Ben Sinnott. You overcome offensive pass interference. The 1st and 30 ends up becoming the first down. You get a new set of downs. And the one penalty that you can't overcome is like the 3rd and 2 false start from Zach Ertz. And now you're in a position where you have to kick a field goal when you really could have cut the lead a little bit closer than that, or trim the lead a little bit closer than that. It was just a day where you just continued to shoot yourself in the foot. And while defensively, we're talking about penalties, right? Defensively, they weren't no different or no better. I think in a game where you lacked your star power in Terry McLaurin and Jaden Daniels, you had to play as mistake-free as you could. And the next best thing besides not committing any turnovers was penalties. And those things came at a barrage for these guys. Y'all got the floor. What do y'all think about the offense, bro?
Yeah, I mean, I thought that Marcus Mariota, I felt like he played like a backup in a sense at times today. He didn't play like the Mariota that we had kind of seen him step into 3 games or so that he has played so far up until this point. But I mean, you still had a chance at the end of the day. I didn't like that first drive. That was one that was baffling to me from Cliff Kingsbury's standpoint, because for me coming into this game, I'm like, we have to establish the run. We have to lean into that identity. And we had 3 straight passes, which kind of just started the offense all out of whack. But then, later on, they did start getting the running backs involved. Chris Rodriguez looks good every time he touches the ball. I thought Bill had a pretty decent game. Luke McCaffrey made a couple of plays today. Even Jalen Lane came in on some. And Debo showed he wasn't washed today. Like, Debo came out there. He made some big plays, even down the field, which a lot of people claim he couldn't do. But at the end of the day, it was like you felt like the whole game you're playing this uphill battle. And the uphill battle was just too much for Mariota to overcome. Like I said, with Jaden Daniels playing, possibly maybe a smidgen of a chance, but he had to play perfect because it would have been a shootout type of game. But I just think that was a little bit too much to ask of Mariota, and this was the game we kind of see where you do kind of miss that Jaden Daniels effect. Like, even noticing and watching Mariota on a couple of plays, I'm like, you could tell he's, at his age, at this point in his career, he's definitely not as dynamic as Jaden is with the ball. Like, I mean, Mariota doesn't seem like he can get to that outside like Jaden can, or like Mariota probably once could at one point in his career. Like, the Falcons did a damn good job of playing contained and playing discipline, so they wouldn't let him get anything, but he just doesn't look like that type of athlete at this point in his career that a Jaden Daniels is. So I definitely see that you miss Jaden there. But hopefully Jaden's coming back next week. Like, everyone's kind of stamping, like we saw Schefter and Ian Rappaport pretty much say that he's most likely to play next week. So let's hope he does play next week. But even if he plays, I just hope this defense gives you a chance, man. But Jaden Daniels playing is important to get him off to a good start this season. Like, this is pretty much about to be his season opener when he does play again. Like, we're going to kind of forget about whatever happened the first 2 games or the games he hasn't played. But when he does play, it's going to feel like the season opener for him.
Yeah, I think I want to start off my portion. Did any of you guys think about Terry McLaurin during this game?
During the game, I ain't gonna lie, I really didn't.
Neither.
But I don't think it was. I get where you're coming from, and I actually tend to agree. Like, because if he was that like much of a dog, you would definitely be like, yo, this is a game where we could have used Terry. And in theory, you still could have used him. But I mean, damn, bro. Like, I think you have a shot if your defense wasn't some shit and you stop committing all these penalties.
Yeah, I mean, I think I just think that yeah, the offense looked how you thought it would look with a backup quarterback, especially when you are one of those teams that has a superstar quarterback. Um, that's why I was like, I know we had a discussion Thursday. I'm like, how does Jaden not play Sunday? And boy, did they pull the rug up from under me? Because I mean, what's the sense of him practicing if you're not gonna play? Like, what
Well,
are
he
we
was
doing?
limited in the practices.
Yeah,
Like
but
he was
still, it's
limited.
just like, bruh, you let him practice and he did a presser on Wednesday. What are we doing? Like, I don't get it. I think it's just playing it too safe. But I mean, Cliff just really threw me off with how he was calling plays. The penalties were not helping, whether it be Ertz jumping off sides, um, Senate with a legal block. Just different things were happening. Like this offense has yet to show what we seen last year with playing with tempo. Like we have yet to see that. That is really what gave Cliff the benefit of how he called plays, and they're not exhibiting any of that yet of playing with tempo because there's so many negative plays that are happening, and on top of that penalty. So you're not really seeing the full gist of the offense. I mean, Luke McCaffrey, he stepped in today. He was able to get his second career touchdown. You know, kudos to him. C. Rod broke a big one. Bill wasn't necessarily a part of the game plan for the first half.
Jakrowski married.
Yeah, but yeah, he wasn't really a part of the game plan for the first half. I feel like Washington didn't really show that much of a threat of Marcus Mariota running. So them boys in like Pierce and Walker really could just chill. I mean, Dre, like you said, he can't necessarily turn the corner, whatever. Yeah, Moneyball, scared money don't make money. If you scared, go to church. You feel me? Like Malik Neighbors came into this game against the Chargers fully healthy and towards ACL. So what are we really saying? It's football, bro. Like he could Jada could tear his ACL next week. Like what are we really doing? Like God forbid, but like that's
Well,
just
if he wasn't
football.
clear, I
Like
think
things
that's another
happen.
thing. If he wasn't clear by the doctors, that's actually part of the conversation
Yeah,
too.
they said
That I
the
think we
doctors
should have
didn't
brought
clear
in.
him.
They haven't cleared him, so if they haven't cleared
Yeah,
him,
but I
you know it is
mean,
what it is.
if
How did he
it's
catch
team
that,
doctors.
bro?
If they want to protect you, they're gonna say if the coaches are saying that we want to protect this guy from himself, let's not clear him. They're gonna do that. You feel me? And I mean it's over with, right? But at the end of
Yeah,
the
I'm about
day,
to
the
say, what's the
offense wasn't
argument?
as productive as it. Yeah, I mean, for me, the offense wasn't as productive as it could have been. I feel like Atlanta had a lot of weaknesses from a defensive standpoint, and you know, even with not having Jaden out there, or I guess you could say Terry, they were still able to move the ball in some aspects. So it just gives me the thought process like, damn, if Jaden could even been out there, they would have been able to put up more points. Maybe that one turnover that Mikey did get, you know, could have been a swing. Maybe it was still going to be a shootout, right? Because the defense is the defense. But I just think that if Jaden was able to play, they could have won. Yeah, Cliff just got to get better, and I think a lot of that starts with the tempo. So hopefully for the rest of the season and next week when they go against the Chargers, they play with a bit more tempo and don't just keep trying to air out the ball. Like definitely try to develop something within the run game to be able to play action off of it. And that's what Atlanta took advantage of on their offense. They were able to get productive yards running, and that led to you know, things being open underneath for Pitts, London, and even Bijan.
Um, I think another thing that we should talk about is the we praised Mariota last week for being two things. I also don't think Mariota wasn't dynamic today, and like I wouldn't expect like a backup to be. I think also what's important to acknowledge here while we're talking about him, since he did start again. So many people, like if y'all paid attention this week, and I don't disagree completely in the element or the argument that Mariota can start on several teams, right? But like people saying that he can start on half half the teams in the league is blasphemy. But also I can't fight everybody who has these thoughts, but like people kind of jump the gun when they see good, and it's like super positive, and super optimistic, like after like an outing or two, right? Like they want to be the besides the point. I think what's important to understand when you look at the game against Atlanta, right, is like he's not a dynamic player. He wasn't dynamic against Atlanta. In the times that he was aggressive, I think he had one pick I think that could have been dropped, the one over the middle where he was trying to fit a ball into, I think on the dig or the slant. And cuz number one almost got that bitch out of the air with one hand. But then the actual pick, just being super aggressive in a position where, you know, you're actually doing a good job at this point, Marcus. Like you don't need to go for the gusto. Keep on driving the team down the field, get as much yards as you need to get convert the chains, keep the drive alive. And I think he saw like 1 second of separation where he targeted, I think it was Jalen Lane downfield, and the safety picks it off. Like he's playing the middle of the field perfectly, and Marcus tries him. And Marcus, if you want to try him, don't lead the ball so far inside to help the safety out. He does it, picks the ball off, ends the drive. Now, granted, you get another attempt with Sanderstill, the very next drive getting a pick back. But at the end of the day, in that moment where you really needed it and you couldn't afford to like give up a possession, especially with the momentum going on in your favor to some extent, like you gotta play a little bit smarter. And I think that's an important aspect or element of the game. I think that really hurt Washington. I mean, I guess it evened out later, but in that moment, I think it really hurt Washington because like you had something going on that drive.
Yeah, that was a momentum changer. Like you definitely had something going on, and then your quarterback throws into that type of coverage where, like you said, the safety was in perfect position. He didn't bite on anything. So there was no way to fit that pass in there. Like it was no way. It was just a bad read overall. And you hope to not get that from someone that's been around the league so long, but at the end of the day, he is Marcus Mariota. So like you touched on, people raving about, oh, he could start in half the league. I think a lot of fans are caught up in especially with their particular team that they root for. They think so many guys are better than what they really are. I think that's the case with a lot of players on Washington. Mikey Sanderstrill is one of those guys. Quan Martin, Marcus Mariota. I mean, to say someone could start in the league is like, bruh, Jake Browning and Carson Wentz are having to play for their teams respectively. Like, you feel me? So, just think that it's an unfortunate situation, and that's the difference between a superstar quarterback and a backup. And I don't think Jaden makes that type of pass. I think that even a 75% Jaden could have carved up this defense. Because it's not like they were like really getting home to Mariota. He just wasn't getting the ball out quick enough.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't know how much better Jaden. I mean, I'm sure it's probably some instances where he is better in that game. I mean, Falcons did have the number one pass defense in the league, so it's not a slouch defense by any means. But yeah, Mariota, like I said earlier, he just made mistakes that you see backups make, like that throw. I actually thought that was a free play. Like I was like, when I seen the flag come out and the way he threw it, I was like, he must have thought he had a free play on it, because why else would you make that throw? And then the other one was that intentional grounding that he had. I mean, 2 weeks in a row, even though last week I kind of attribute that more to Jalen Lane. But this week, that was just on Mariota. Like, I just honestly didn't know why he felt like he had to take that intentional grounding there. I actually thought if he wanted to just kind of get rid of the play, because it was supposed to be a screen, I think it was to Debo on that play, he could have just dirted it to Debo right there when he seen the play got broken up. But I guess he thought he could make a play, but he had nothing. And he just gives up a whole play, which kind of ruins the drive on the intentional grounding. But that's the type of stuff you see kind of backup quarterbacks make, in a sense. So, that is where you miss Jaden. But again, I don't know how much it has an effect on the outcome, because who's to say if Jaden comes in, he scores another touchdown, that doesn't give the Falcons another chance to score another quick score. I mean, that's just how bad the defense was today, that you just feel like the Falcons could have scored whenever they wanted to score out there. I think we forced 2 punts all day, but with all that said,
and one of them was just right before the half, I think.
Yes, so that don't really count. So my boy Jalen Lane didn't even get a chance to kind of have an encore performance this week. But yeah, we do miss Jaden, but I don't want to see Jaden in a shootout every week, because I mean we're going to play better offenses.
Yeah, I was going to say I don't know if that was a question, but I know I didn't answer it. I don't necessarily. I miss Jaden. I definitely miss Jaden, and I think it was a conversation that we was having throughout the weeks, right? Like, what was the nature? It was a convert, like Marcus Mariota and Jaden. Like, we know that Jaden can make the receiver. I'm trying to remember. Jaden can make the receiving core special, like an average. Like, he can elevate the talent around him, and that's why you would want to have him in a game such as like maybe against Atlanta. I think that's what we were saying, right? Anyway, Jaden definitely is a guy that Washington needs back as soon as possible. With him missing 2 games, I think that Washington kind of understood the nature of his knee injury. And that, like, if you can sit him for as long as you can without like him actually like missing games that he definitely could play in. I think that they just took advantage of like the time that they had early into the season. And obviously he's eyeing a return against the Chargers, which would definitely help Washington, especially if you don't have Terry. Like, that run game from the actual quarterback position is big. And even when Mariota took off for his 22-yard run, Mariota looked old. I don't know if that makes sense, but it looked like he wasn't kicking up no more. And I think things like that can definitely be an added element to a team like this. But what's going to hurt, and lastly, that's all I got to say left, but what's going to hurt them is, like, if you can't fix, bro, you got Keenan Allen, Lad McConkey, and Conklin, the tight end. I really like Conklin. And then Quinton Johnson, bro. Like, you got those 4 people coming up next in the Chargers, and you got Justin Herbert. Like, how can I not forget the quarterback?
And Marion Hampton looked damn good today too against the Giants.
So you got another headache coming up from a scheme standpoint, and a pass scheme standpoint. So if they're not on point next week, bro, it's gonna be another long day where you're hoping that you can put up fucking 30 points minimum just to stay in the game.
Yeah. Like I said, that's the last thing I want to see is Jaden, especially coming off the injury this week. We don't want Jaden to get to the point where we were talking about early last season, where he feels like he has to go play hero ball. Like, you want to see complimentary football, and hopefully, something changes. Like, at this point, like, I don't even want to keep on, kind of begging for it in a sense, because it's like, I need to see some consistency with these guys on the defensive side of the football. I mean, yeah, you had a good performance against a bad Giants offense, and but other than that, this season, can you really say for a whole game they've looked good? Like, I mean, they for the most part they've looked bad this season. And when does it change? What changes? What adjustments can you make? Like, yes, we're gonna talk about the personnel, but the personnel is not going to change this season. The personnel is going to be what it's going to be this season. But what can you get out of these guys? That's my whole point. What can you get out of these guys for the rest of the season? Because it's not going to change. No one's walking through the door to save anybody on that defense personnel wise.
Well, Rob, I don't think, and shout out to you, shout out to everybody that's listening live on the chat, man. Appreciate y'all. We're not going to drag the show. Instant analysis, it is what it is. But appreciate everybody checking in. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you are new. Appreciate y'all checking in. I don't know if it's gloom. I think you meant doom and gloom. It's not doom and gloom, but I think it's just like we've never shied away from like talking about real topics after a win or a loss. And sure, the record is 2-2, but like, Rob, let's actually face reality here. Not saying that you aren't, but I'm saying like the reality is, Jaden is hurt, Terry is hurt. you haven't really looked super dynamic offensively. You do find ways to get explosive plays, especially in the run game, which is like a big deal. But like there's a glaring elephant in the room right now. Your defense is not good. They're giving up 20 plus yard explosive plays consistently a game and a week, every week. That is a problem. And it's 4 games in. That's actually the real problem, Rob. Like we have 13 games left, and there is no
you haven't played Patrick
solution.
Mahomes yet. You haven't played Patrick Mahomes yet. You have not played Justin Herbert yet. You have not played Jalen Hurts twice yet. Like you have not even played Dak Prescott. Yeah. Like you haven't played most of the top quarterbacks amongst the league. Like you played Russell Wilson, Geno Smith, Jordan Love, Michael Penix, who's been struggling. So like this next stretch, you're going against Justin, you're going against Caleb, and then I want to say
Sam Darnold.
You're going against Mahomes.
You got Darnold too, yeah, for sure.
Okay, yeah. So it's just like, bruh, you haven't even played. You haven't even played like necessarily explosive offenses or quarterbacks yet. So it's like, how do you improve? And I think the easy cop out for a lot of fans is just pinpointing Marshawn Lattimore. But it's
haven't played the Lions yet. Damn.
Your favorite DB also is getting cooked. Mikey Sanders, he's getting cooked as well. So it's like the whole team is getting cooked. So it's just like, I don't know how you improve it. I think sports media is going to be talking about Joe Witt Jr. a lot this week, but I mean, he's running Dan Quinn's defense. Like, it's not like he's running some different variation.
Hold on, bro.
And he's calling everything.
Joe, who's calling everything?
I said Joe Witt Jr. is calling like the plays, and he's calling different looks. He's calling man.
But it's his defense. It's his Dan Quinn always lets you know it's his defense when it's a good defense. So if it's a bad defense, it's his too.
Yeah, but I mean, let's keep it a buck. Dan Quinn's defense looked different in Seattle when he had Earl Thomas, Cam Chancellor, Bobby Wagner, Brandon Browner, versus when he became an actual head coach for the Falcons. They had nobody. Their defense was not good with Atlanta, right? Then he moved on because he got fired, and then he ended up getting Micah Parsons that looked good. It takes a dynamic player or dynamic players to get your defense to a certain point. You can't go in every week hoping that everyone plays like a unit. Like it's just not reality, bro. Like, and they don't have any dynamic players.
So
like,
right now,
I don't like that.
Because I mean,
I don't like that messaging though, bro. Because like in the offseason, they had, bro, like we were literally talking about the acquisition that they made. They bet on Lattimore. They bet on the defensive front that they retooled, right? They bet on Trey Amos. They bet on Sanders still taking the lead. They bet on Quan Martin. Like, we can't sit here and say like like they don't have dynamic players. If that's a realization that you come to now, that's one thing. But nobody was saying they had no dynamic players in the offseason, especially when people were saying Marshawn had a full offseason where he wasn't hurt. We're going to get to see the Marshawn who they expected to come into the season, like the top tier guy that they knew Marshawn to be.
That's cooling.
So let's acknowledge that people thought they had dynamic players, and you was in that boat too. And I'm not like playing the blame game. People was in that boat. They had dynamic players. The problem is they not what they thought they were, and they're not playing like it at least.
Yeah, but Mual, you are a gambler. Sometimes your bet that you put in don't hit. Like, I mean, more than likely, a lot of your bets don't hit. Like, yes, we knew that Marshawn would be healthier, right? Like, but they also were being put in the mix of conversations of adding a Jalen Ramsey, a Trey Hendrickson, like different guys on the defensive side of the ball. Like they did
fan side or reality.
I'm just going down the list, even going into the draft, first round. Are we looking at Donovan Ezeraku? Are we looking at Mike Green? Are we looking at James Pierce Jr.? Like, it is what it is. The roster is what it is. But what I'm saying is, like, they didn't come in here with like a stalwart a stalwart player to help boost the entire core. You're just betting on guys playing as a collective week in and week out, and is not necessarily going to hit all the time. Like, you might have better games than the other. I mean, Deron Payne is probably the closest thing to a top-notch player, and I mean, he made a play. He forced that fumble against Bijan, and they didn't capitalize on it. So it's just like, even when these opportunities are taking place, they're not even taking advantage of them. So it's just very frustrating, bro. Like, and I don't know what's to come from this defense. Maybe Joe Witt Jr. moves from in the booth onto the sideline. You know, they said Falcons offense coordinator Zach Robinson moved from the booth down to the field this week. They put up 30 plus, and last week they put up 0. So I don't know. Something got to give, and I feel comfortable that they are the team that will make adjustments. As we've seen Brandon Coleman be another healthy scratch. Maybe Sam Cosmi comes back for this Chargers game offensively. Maybe that gives an extra boost. But I feel like, as a Washington fan, be prepared to watch Washington have to score a bunch of points. And I think that's the best type of football to watch at this point, rather than seeing their asses get whipped all game defensively and struggle to put points up. So I don't know. I just don't know what we expect from this defense at this point. I don't see any improvement taking place.
I just don't like the excuses, though, man.
Like, I'm about to say, what's
because
up,
on the same token, AJ, on
what
the opposite side, but see, on the opposite side of the ball, AJ can say Cliff Kingsbury needs to do better. And he's missing damn near his whole offense. You know, he's missing his wide receiver 1. He's missing his QB 1. But you can't say Joe Witt needs to do better. Instead, you say, oh, well, it's Dan Quinn's defense he's running, or this guy's ass, this guy's ass, this guy's ass. But what about the guy that puts these guys in position to be ass every week? Like, I mean,
but Dan Quinn is a part of the defense, though.
Bro, hold on. All right,
let's act like Joe Witt Jr. is just freelancing out there by himself. Like,
but listen, we knew
what they know each other to call.
We had a whole conversation in the offseason, bro. I don't want to drag it. We can talk about this on Tuesday, bro. This is a post-game recap. That's cool. Let's go ahead and cut it short. But I just say last thing, bro. Let's not act like fuck Tuesday, let's not act like we didn't have this conversation in the offseason where we literally asked whose defense is this. And I specifically asked this because I wrote about it, brought it to the show. We all said this was Joe Witt's defense. Like, we're not changing. We're not about to sit here and flip-flop, change tunes. Now that there's some heat on certain people, bro. Like, let's just go ahead. We could talk about this on Tuesday. It's no big deal, but let's get out of here, man. We ain't gotta do that. But yeah, I'm about to say, everybody see Drake. Y'all on fire today, bro.
For another hour.
Yeah, you know what? Hey, you do the show. I'm gonna go ahead and sign off, bro. You let me know when you're done. I'm gonna get you a guest, bro. All right. Tuesday, we're back on. Look, man, it's gonna be a long week. Like it's been, even with the Green Bay loss, it's gonna be a long week, bro. We got some shit to talk about. Especially with the Chargers coming to town. We will be back on Tuesday, all 32, back on Wednesday. You know the regular schedule program. Dre, AJ, man, good luck. Well, not AJ, because you don't gamble. So, Dre, good luck on the rest of your Sunday. But fellas, enjoy the rest of y'all Sunday. Everybody in the chat, y'all stay safe, man. Enjoy the games. Enjoy the rest of y'all Sunday. Y'all get back to work.
Dog. Free my dog, Witt Jr., man. Free my dog.
Free the defense.
I don't even know what to add after that. It is what it is. Y'all take it easy. We out of here. Peace.
Chop it down. Chop it down. Chop it down. You gon' chop it down. Chop it down. You gon' chop it down. Damn, set. Watch you throw the ball. We gon' pick it off. You gon' let him hit the hole or you gon' cut it off. You gon' play through 4th and long or you gon' punt it off. Your defenders heavy hitters, put your pads in. Don't be looking for the ref to throw no flags in. Keep the helmet on, keep the cleats tight. You the type to want to win by any means, right? You should look alive. This is Trap or Dive.